Good morning, Pilipinas. Welcome to our The Teacher Voice. This is an hour show that aims to give teachers the opportunity to talk on air about their unforgettable journey, thrilling adventures, share their splendid wisdom to inspire and give hope to our listeners and viewers. This show airs by the Philippine Las Vegas radio station, located in the heart of Las Vegas, every Saturday at 6 p.m. Pacific Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And in the Philippines, it's Sunday, 9 in the morning. I am Teacher Judy, your host, and my co-hosts for tonight are Teacher Pasita Ross from New York City.
Hello.
And our dear Tita Josie Harrison from Las Vegas.
Hello.
We are going to have a pleasant interview today. Our good friend came over and then willing to be interviewed. But before that, before we proceed, we're going to greet muna sa ating mga friends out there sa Philippines, wherever you are. Tita Josie, please.
Hi, sana okay sa Pilipinas ngayon. My heart is there with you. I have been following kung anong nangyayari dyan sa atin. Pero sana sa pagbindisyon ng Panginoong Diyos, mawala na ang problema natin. But anyways, listening to this program, to all the teachers, please stay tuned. We have good news for you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Tita Josie. And Teacher Pasita.
Hi, hello. Sa ating mga listeners and audience, kumusta kayong lahat? Magandang umaga, magandang gabi. At gusto ko lang dagdagan ang sinabi ni Josie. Yeah, we're praying for you. We're rooting for you. Sana matapos na itong ating problema sa health natin, health conditions sa Pilipinas lalo na. And so teachers, just hang in there. And just keep the work you do the best way that you always do.
Thank you. Thank you, Teacher Pasit. And then, in my part, good evening here and good morning there in the Philippines. Good afternoon wherever it is. It could be in Middle East. But here, guys, as what these two teachers said, we are praying for you, Philippines, and even here in America. And to all Filipinos around the world, especially our liners, our teachers there, and medical professionals. And tonight, Tita Josie Harrison, I think, is going to start first the reading of the bio note.
Okay, just a moment. All right, tonight we have Mr. Melvin U. Mamaolao, and he is from New York. Right now I'm going to read his current work and current position. He is an assistant principal, Bronx International High School, New York City Department of Education. He is also a concurrent work school programmer and advanced placement coordinator. His previous work, he is a mathematics and special education teacher at New York City Department of Education, curriculum writer for high school algebra Common Core, commissioned by the New York State Education Department through EngageNewYork.org and the New York City Common Core Fellows. That's it?
Yes, okay. And let me continue and talk to you about his number of years of service and his education. Okay, our guest tonight has 7 years of teaching mathematics experience and 4 years as a division trainer of teachers in mathematics in Cebu City, Philippines. And he has amassed 12 years of teaching mathematics in the New York City public school system here in the USA. And he also has 2 years experience as assistant principal of the Bronx International High School. Now, he prepared himself by obtaining a Bachelor of Science Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in mathematics from the Cebu Normal University. He has a Master of Science in Mathematics Education from the Ateneo de Manila University, and a Master of Education in Special Education from the University of the Visayas. And also, maybe a crowning moment for him, his Doctor of Philosophy in Education, his Doctor of Philosophy in Development Administration from the Philippine Christian University in the Philippines. And I'd like Judy to introduce our guest.
Yes,
today.
it's my pleasure to introduce to you our good friend Melvin U, the Mamaolao, Ph.D. Good evening.
Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Maraming salamat po. Good morning sa ating mga manunood dyan sa Pilipinas. Good evening dito sa Amerika. And magandang araw kung saan man kayo dito sa mundo. Nating ginagalawan.
True.
I hope lahat ay nasa mabuting kalagayan.
Yes.
Wow. Thank
Very
you,
good.
Dr. Melvin. And sabi ko kanina kay Melvin, Doc, we will grill you. So, ready na to i-grill. Sino ang unang mag-grill muna? Tita Josie.
Ang question ko sa iyo, Melvin, is this. Did you ever have a moment when you say, ayoko na mag-aral, tama na itong alam ko? Kasi looking and reading all your credentials, it looks like the excitement and motivation is within you. You know,
To study, yeah.
what motivates you to take all these courses?
Yeah, there was a point in my life where I said, tama na kasi nandun na ako eh. This was after like my master's in Ateneo de Manila University. I was able to use it here in New York for my salary. Like, you know, let's you know, like accept it. Like, you know, a lot of teachers come from the Philippines and migrate to New York or anywhere in the world to like better, you know, their quality of life. I was already at the maximum in terms of the salary. But then I had a problem with my visa and my green card application. So I got, you know, denied by the Department of Labor because according to them, there are a lot of teachers in the U.S. who did not have jobs. And why are we taking their jobs? So I think I got denied 3 times for the position of a math teacher.
Wow.
So that pushed me to get another master's in special education at the University of the Visayas. And that's what I used to get another certification in a different discipline, in a different area, which is special education. And because there was a high demand for teachers of special education, so I got in, you know, and that drove me to like, you know, get another master's, my second master's.
Wow.
And then in terms of like this position that I am in, you have to go to school also to be a principal or assistant principal. So my principal has been pushing me to get the certification, and of course I had to go to school. So I had to go to this site, which is like, you know, training teachers to become administrators. So that's another thing that I had to do because my principal was saying, like, you know, it's not that you're gonna get the position right away, but you have to have it in your pocket just in case. And fortunately, like, you know, after I got that, like I think 2 years after, I became an assistant principal at the same school. So that's one thing. And then something opened up in the Philippines also, where they offered like, you know, modular and asynchronous instruction for a Doctor of Philosophy in Development Administration. So I jumped into the wagon, so to speak, and got that. And I think, like, you know, there's no limit to what you can do in terms of education, and you keep on learning every day, even if you're not in school. So the experiences that you have, whether you're a teacher, a classroom teacher, or an administrator, you get something out of it. Like, you know, you learn something from it, from all the experiences that you have. So I always say, like, you know, there's not even like an age limit to any degrees or education.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Perfect. But I see that there are some cases in our profession, like Melvin, that you are pushed to really study because of the need. They're in
Yes.
special ed, like what you mentioned. So sometimes it's like that. It's not just because you like it, but sometimes because of the
You have
challenge and
to.
you have to, the
You have
demand,
to.
right?
Mhm.
And Tita Pasit,
Yeah, I have a question. Okay, Melvin, if you remember during our AFTA's first International Educators Convention,
Yeah.
one of our biggest topics then was leadership among Filipino teachers in the Department of Education. And it was really an eye opener as to what, I forgot his name, sorry. I know, as to what you teachers must do or can do in order to attain such a position. Now that you are there, I know assistant principal will just be just a stepping stone to, the next level. Now, I would like us to inspire our Filipino teachers here or anywhere else, because I know how qualified you are, all are, to be in a position as such as yours. Could you give them an idea how they could rise from classroom teaching to a certain leadership position?
Yes.
it's a
So
good question.
I would like to start from my experience because,
Sure.
in our school, I started, believe it or not, I started in our school as an ATR. I think
Yeah.
I was part of the first batch of ATR. So ATR is absentee teacher reserve. So these are
Substitute, yeah.
teachers who don't have permanent placement at the
Correct.
Department of Education. So it was created just because a lot of us came from the Philippines and we came in late. We came in October and the school year has started already. So this was way back in 2006. And that is when the Department of Education said we're going to create this APR pool of teachers where they placed us in randomly, into schools,
Correct.
even if there was no position, so we had to
That's
teach.
true.
And then I went into our school, my current school right now, as an ATR. So I was not even like a permanent teacher.
Correct.
So what made my principal notice me, for him to push me to get like a certification for a school building leader or assistant principal was that I think it's innate for us Filipinos to really shine at what we are doing. So I was not even bragging about what I do as a teacher, but my kids were performing
Yeah.
better. And they were doing great, and then I was able to build great relationship with the kids. I did a lot of projects with my kids. I even ran a newspaper for our school, even though I was a math teacher,
Right.
and I did all those.
Cool.
So whenever there's a need, for example, of a school, there was no chemistry teacher, I stepped in. I became a chemistry teacher
Wow. Yeah.
for a year, and then I was physics teacher for 4 years. So just that, do whatever, be the best at what you're doing, and also things will go your way. And you have to show leadership whenever times would call for it, a situation would call for it. Just show it. You don't have to be really, I sorry to use this word, to be sip to people.
Right.
But people will notice you.
They will notice. Correct.
That you can do things and that you're good at doing things.
True.
And just be enjoy your work. Just love what you're doing, because I believe if you love what you're doing, it's not even like work. It doesn't feel like work.
Exactly.
And you enjoy what you're doing.
So,
Wow.
Melvin, as a summary, make it very simple for our teachers who want to be there. First, step in when you are needed and be noticed by your administrators.
Yeah. So just show leadership when a situation calls for it. You don't have to be asked to do things. So just do what you can do to help the situation. And I know, we are in this job, right? And we are called to, help our students, and just do that, and be good at it. And people will notice you without having to scream to the world, hey, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. And people will start noticing you. And one thing also that I would like to add is it helps to have good relationships, not only with your students, but with your colleagues and whoever it is. I always say you have to respect people.
Correct.
Even the person that is that usually doesn't get the attention, like the custodians, for example. I really have like a very good relationship with custodians, whoever it is. Like I greet them. Like I remember one time during Christmas, like I bought something for all the personnel in the cafeteria because I see how they work every day to feed the kids, and they're really like so busy cooking all this food and whatnot. And I see that every day because I was in the cafeteria before the school closed down. Every day, I had to like be in line with the kids and make sure that they're doing things right. And I see the passion that these people like put into their work. And I said, I have to give them something because nobody notices people behind the cafeteria doors.
Wow.
But on top of that, Melvin, you must have to have a kind of a license, correct? How do you go about that?
Yeah, so the licensing part is I think the most challenging part because you have to get into an SBL program, which is a school building leader program.
Okay.
So there are accredited schools, like I mentioned already, like SITE, the College of St. Rose. They're offering like affordable courses that lets you get that certification. After you get the 24 credits, I think.
Wow, that's
then
a lot.
You have, yes, it's not even like a master's. You can go for a master's and you have to write a thesis and whatnot, but I didn't go through that route.
Yeah.
I just got my certificate of a school building leader. And then right after that, you have to apply through NYSED, NYSED, and get that certification. So there is, I think, three different...
Is there an exam that you have to take? Oh.
3 examinations, very long examinations, I should say. Like 2 of them is 4 hour each, like, the 2 of them. And then one is a shorter one. But then there's also another, they added like a new certification, a test right now for either you're like a school leader or a teacher. They've added one, which is educating for all students. This is something new that I have never like taken way back in 2006. They only added it, I think, in 2016. So I was able also to take that. So all in all, there was like 4 exams that you have to take. And right after that, I would say, by the way, have a very good, again, I'm going to go back to the relationship thing. Have a good relationship with people who are on top. Why? Because this position is highly political, meaning to say,
yes,
and I'm going to put it out there. If you don't know anybody, and no matter how many times you apply to a position, you will never get it because, and I hope the Department of Education is not listening. Sana hindi sila nakikinig.
It's okay.
No,
if they open, pag inopen nila yung isang positions as assistant principal or principal, may tao na yan. So they would post it, and people would apply, but there's already a person who is sitting in the position. For example, so I was already appointed as interim AP before my position was posted, and I had to apply for it, kind of. But I was already selected to be.
You're already there.
Oh,
I was already there. So they would say like 99% of postings has already a person on it.
Right.
Only 1% is left. So
that's politics.
Yeah, it's all politics, I would say.
Right. So before I let you go, Melvin, so how are you loving your present job, assistant principal?
Loving might not be the right word.
Okay, whatever.
Unfortunately, so this is during our training. They always told us, they would tell us that it's gonna be lonely up there, and now I'm feeling it. The monetary wise, it's great. You have a substantial amount added to your salary as a teacher. That's understandable. But the kind of work that you do is so different from classroom teaching, and you have to have the boundaries already set to the kind of like interaction you have with the teachers. So it's in my part, for example, I'll give you an example. So there are a lot of like Filipino teachers in our school. Marvin Codornegara, who guested in this show, for example, is one of the teachers.
Correct. Yeah.
There are, I think, right now there are 8 Filipino teachers at our school.
In your school.
Before I became an AP, so during lunchtime, I used to like be with them, eat lunch with them,
And now you
things
can't.
like that, and talk to them all the time and have fun with them. Now that I'm in this position, I can't do that anymore.
No, you can't.
But I'm everything that I have to like I'm doing with all these teachers has to be in the professional sense. So I can't even like mingle with them anymore and have lunch with them the way I did before. And just like like there's constant meetings, and you don't have a specific lunchtime. You have to eat. For example, like I would eat my lunch while walking in the hallways and chasing down kids. So and then all of a sudden some incidents would happen, and you have to go there and you have to be there, and then there are a lot of like things that you don't expect that will happen and that you have to deal with. And especially right now that we have this thing called like accommodation for teachers and administrators. So I don't have an accommodation, so I had to be in the building when we opened back up. And a lot of like responsibilities fell on my shoulder. So unfortunately, I'm the only AP in the building at our school. There are 2 other APs. One is a Filipina, Jalarbal, and the other one is has been our senior AP for so long. But they're working remotely. So everything that they have to do, I'm now doing it for them. So it's triple work probably for me.
Correct. Yeah.
So going back to the question of like loving it, I'm playing it by day. Like I'm like doing it, and I mentioned like you have to love your work. I think I am, but like if I would be given a chance to like go back to the classroom, I think I would. Like I like to be with kids better than.
Don't do it. You're already there. You are a pride of the Filipino teachers. Stay right there, okay? Stay right there and then go higher.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I
sure.
have a question. Thank you, Tita Pasit. I have a question. Do you believe that Filipino teachers globally competitive professionals, and why?
Yeah. There's
Why?
I think
What
there's
is
no
them?
there's no question about that, I think, because I'm gonna tell you also based on my experience. So when I came to our school, believe me or not, like our kids were like, how would I would say, like, they wouldn't like respect their teachers. They were like, nobody can control them discipline wise. And then I started to be in there, like I was the first Filipino teacher in that school. And then a lot of Filipinos came in because I told them to apply to our school, and so that's how we become at one point we were 10 teachers, Filipino teachers at our school, and that changed the whole culture of the school. So now we treated our kids like Filipino kids. So now they would respect their teachers better, and the community is better because of that. We taught them how to respect adults and how to respect their classmates. I think that's the greatest thing that we brought into the community at our school. Plus, we are really good at what we're doing in terms of curriculum and writing our curriculum, our content.
Right.
We were prepared in that sense, and we were prepared to write lesson plans and whatnot. The thing that I noticed about, not to discredit them, but the teachers who are coming from, for example, programs here in New York, they have very limited experience with the classroom. So they are practice teaching is so short, maybe 2 months. And then all of a sudden they become teachers themselves. I don't think that's enough. So I think our teacher preparation in the Philippines is better compared to the teacher preparation here. And that is from my perspective. I've been also a critic teacher for teachers trained here. And that was so different. They don't know how to write proper lesson plans, and the techniques and strategies that we use. I think Filipinos really look for that thing that can motivate students, for example, or activities that can, bring students to attention, of what they're doing. Our teachers who are trained here are not like that, except for some maybe, but I think the teacher training, going back to what I've said, teacher training in the Philippines is a lot better, and our teachers are a lot smarter.
Really, huh?
Yeah.
Agree, 100%.
But here, there's another one.
Agree.
One of the classroom challenges teachers face in educational trends is that it has been changing every year. As an administrator, you notice it. So schools eager to adapt also new technologies and tools to update, of course, recent trends. How do teachers handle to adapt the changes that what you observed in your school example?
Yeah. Are we talking about Filipino teachers or just teachers in general?
In general.
In general, okay. We go through a lot of like PDs, the professional development activities. If there are any changes that we need to happen in our school, in the system, for example, we have to prepare them for the eventuality of like doing things. Like, I'm just going to give an example of the school closing and going remote. Nobody thought that the whole system would shut down.
Correct.
I'm not just like the New York City, but the whole entire country and the world. Schools closed because of COVID-19. And fortunately for our school, we have been using like technology. Our students are using, we're using technology for so long. We were like, granted an Apple, devices. Like, this was like a grant from Apple where our students got like one-to-one iPads, and we were already like using this in the classroom. So they have their iPads and they have their apps that they can use. So they were kind of like prepared. Now the remote part of it, like, the using of Zoom, right? Google Meets and all the application in the Google Suite. So we had to train them. So when the school closed, we had to like think of like PDs to prepare our teachers. So there was like a time, I think a 1 week period where administrators prepared teachers for the online and remote learning. So the PDs were about like Zoom. How do you open like breakout rooms? How do you, assign kids? Things like that. Like, things that we were not prepared for. But the teachers were able to adapt quickly. And then we had to change the schedule of the teachers and the schedule of the students. So I think there was a lot of stress, but at the same time, the teachers were able to do it because the thinking was, this is our new reality and we have to be in it. Otherwise, we're going to lose our jobs. I think that was in the mind of the teachers and everybody. And right now, since we have been on it for like a year, more than a year already, we are thinking of the things that came out, the good things that came out of this experience. And we're going to, integrate this into whatever we're going to do in the fall. I think the Department of Education, the New York City Department of Education is going to have the students back into the building, but the schedule might be different because we cannot have the full like 34 students in a classroom. So that has to change a little bit. We have smaller classrooms. So we kind of like, think about a way to program the students and to schedule the students so that they're not in the school at the same time. So I don't know how that looks yet, but then again, like, the things that came out, the positive things that came out of this experience, we are going to incorporate it because they said we cannot go back to the way it was before the school closings. We have to move forward, and moving forward means bringing all those positive things and using them.
Alignment of
to what we're going to do in the future.
Yeah. Wow. So thank you for that. Thank you for the sharing.
I just want to go back, if you don't mind, Judeline. The things that you said that now your position is, you are in a good position right now, but then you miss, the classroom, the interactions with kids and whatnot, and then you mentioned about before you can eat lunch with the teachers and all of that. Now you can't do it anymore. I just want to clarify that. Those are the things that you can't do because of your job now, right? It's not something that are directives that say you cannot do that anymore, right? It's just because of your schedule.
Because of the pressure of the
right?
I think it's both. Because of the schedule and also all the dealings that I have to have with the teacher has to be about their professional work. So there's, so we can think of it this way, like, if I socialize with them, and this is one group of teachers, these are Filipino teachers, and I'm Filipino, and the other teachers would see it differently. And they feel like, okay, so Melvin is like favoring this group of teachers. So that is a conflict of, I don't know, like,
unprofessional.
It might be given a different,
meaning. Yeah.
Meaning for teachers who are non-Filipinos. So that's why I have to like put that, to draw that line somewhere. Yeah.
May I ask you, how many principals or assistant principals we have here in New York, Filipinos? So far?
On top of my head, there probably are around six principals and assistant principals.
Okay.
There might be more. There might be around 20 assistant principals.
Wow.
Could be more.
Good number.
Yeah, that's nice to know.
So in our school, for example, there are two of us Filipinos.
Who's the other one? Can we?
Jal Raval. Jal.
Oh, si Jal, right.
Yeah, si Jal, yes.
Yes. Oh, that's nice to know, right?
Yep.
Okay, Tita Pased, this is very interesting. Thank you, Melvin.
I know. It's a really nice conversation we're having here with you, Melvin, and thank you for your very candid responses to our questions. Now, I want us to go back to our beloved Philippines. Yeah. I know that you have been with the AFTA Balikturo program since you became a member of the association. Now, currently, the Philippines is also in such a problematic situation, not only because of COVID, but because of something else. Now, if you were someone whose voice they can listen to or hear, what do you think might you suggest that our Department of Education in the Philippines should do in order to lift up our children, our products in them?
So first thing is for the whoever is in the the heads that we have in there, the secretaries and whatnot, to listen to the teachers on the ground, because they are the ones who see the students every day. And for example, I'll give you an example. So in AFTA over the summer, we did a Balikturo online, and we had probably close to 4,000 participants, teachers from the Philippines, and we trained them on online platforms. Unfortunately, there are no gadgets in the Philippines. You go to the mountains and there are there's no internet.
That's the problem.
There are no computers. That's the second one, and it doesn't work.
Internet connection.
Yeah, that's true.
Correct. There's no internet connection, and then the Philippines has been I think they've been saying we're gonna do online learning, we're gonna do lessons in radios and whatnot, and I don't think it is very much effective, and I don't think the implementation really happened that well. So what can the Department of Education do? So I know for a fact that teachers have been wanting printers, because they've been printing their modules and they've been giving this to the kids, but they don't have the printers, they don't have ink, they don't have paper. So what the teachers were doing is asking people
to donate
anywhere to donate printers.
I've been doing that.
Correct. I know. I've been asked. So my my sisters, by the way, are teachers in the Philippines, public school teachers. So I've been telling them if it's okay, I can give you this and that. And fortunately for me, they said we're fine, we're good, because they are in the city.
Correct.
Now the teachers in the mountain barangays, that's a different story, a whole different story. So for me, I think the Department of Education should really go to these places and experience the way of life of the teachers and see what they can do. And if they are promising internet connection, computers, gadgets for the kids, they have to buy them. So I was told, for example, that there was a budget for modules and the printing of the modules and everything else that goes with it, but teachers never got them. So that my message to them is give it to the teachers and stop this red tape and all these things. If you have a supplier, for example, the bidding process is too long. And it takes like how many months before
Right.
things can get into the hands of the teachers and students that really need them. So change something, like, maybe our lawmakers also, like, can think of something that
Exactly.
in this process and can really help our students, because they are suffering. It's not that, like, I'm speaking as an administrator also. A lot of times administrators don't have really, like, the experience on the ground.
Exactly.
And they are making policies in their offices and not really seeing what's happening. And that is a problem. Because
politics, Melvin.
Correct. And I would say, like, for you to be able to, like, make decisions for these teachers and these kids, you have to experience what they're experiencing and see what is happening on the ground. Not like, draft something out of your, computer, laptops, and in your air-conned office, and that's not going to help.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with you a lot, or everything that you said about the ills of Philippine education and the leadership in it. I agree with you completely. Coming from, I taught in Masbate for 6 years before going to the city, of course, and my involvement now with barrio schools in my home province is going on. And yeah, you're right. It's pitiful that the teachers have to beg for money for modules and the printing and etc., etc., etc. Okay, so yeah, we can go on, but it's politics, and yeah, it is very sad.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
The education of the kids is at stake.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I may suggest also to, I know that there was like an association, like, of teachers in the Philippines. So it's like advocating for teachers and students, but it's not as strong as the union here in New York City, for example. Like, you have the United Federation of Teachers here, which is really, it really is a force. Like, you can't, it negotiates with the city, and the Department of Education, and wins, like, all these contracts for teachers. And it's really strong. I think it's a high time for Filipino teachers to have a union like that can really, negotiate with the Department of Education and bargain with them, like, because it's high time that we have that kind of, like, organization. And I know that there is, like, this lawmakers in Congress supposedly representing teachers, but I don't think they are that. I don't think the teachers' voice is being heard in Congress or.
Yeah, the ACT. I think that's the ACT. That's the
correct. I mean, like, they had to have some tooth.
Correct. Yeah.
Another one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Melvin, you are talking a lot of challenges also in your part and the part of the teachers. To summarize this, what makes a teacher the best teacher?
What makes the teacher the best teacher is, I think, being great at what he or she does, and bringing along with it, like, his or her experiences, and using those to better his craft. I had like a bad experience when I came in here in New York City. Like, my first 5 months was terrible, but I used that as a challenge. Like, there was one point where I said, I'm going to go home. I can't do this. Every day I was at church, and I would pray, like, oh my God, like, please don't, make so-and-so annoy me so much today. But that faith and that, I'm just gonna say, like, you have to be resilient. You have to do what you have to do and do it right, and you can be, like, the best that you can.
Oh, Melvin, it's very familiar. 1 month into my first year here dito sa US, and we were, very lonely pa kaming grupo, kasi wala pang ibang Filipino teachers, kundi kami, So anyway, that was in 1988. 1 month into my job, as a teacher in a Catholic school pa to, no? Sabi ko, uwi na ako ng Pilipinas. Diyos, kaya lang sabi ko, ang dami ng utang ko pa. So, sabi ko sarili ko, well, I have the education that I need and I have the age, the experience. So I put my foot down, and so here I am. I survived it.
So just like an experience I'm going to share. So my first night here in New York City, right, coming from the Philippines, my mom actually did not want me to come here, you know, and she was saying, and my sisters also were saying, you can actually find a better job here in the Philippines, and you don't have to go to the U.S. But I said no. I was adamant. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna experience like a different workplace and environment. But I was in Manhattan. I was in the New Yorker hotel my first night, and I was looking out of the window, and I saw all these tall buildings and the cars down, and it was like a lot of buildings, and I was like, oh my God, I'm here, and God, I don't want to be here because people were like talking in English. This is a funny experience, and I think my ears hurt, like listening to them. I couldn't understand what they're saying. It's like, oh my God. And my first days in school, when we had the staff meeting, I really couldn't process through my mind, what they were saying.
Yeah.
And it's so hard for me to understand what they're saying. It's like, oh my God, I'm not gonna survive here. I'm gonna go home. And my first night I was crying, and I was calling my mom. I was like, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna fly back tomorrow. And my mom was like, no, you're already there, and you have a lot of utang already. So you have to pay your utangs first before you can.
That's
exactly.
True. Okay,
exactly.
I have another one. I'm sorry. Who is that? Who wants to? Okay, I have a question. This one is very good. We talk about the challenges of the teachers. Here, the teachers has a lot of work. Teachers face is the challenge. One of the challenges of the teachers face is working too many roles at the same time. As an administrator, what advice you can give these teachers with all the many roles at the same time? We'll see.
Yep. So one thing that helped me in the so many things that I did, even as a teacher, was to have a schedule and to really follow that schedule. For example, set a time for doing things. I'm going to give you a tip, for example. When I go to the building now, from 7:15 to 8, for example, that's checking my emails. That's the first thing that I'm going to do. So even as a teacher, you can also do that, because there are emails that come in during the night from your principal that will tell you do this and do that and submit this and submit that. So you have to check that early in the morning. And then plan a time to do your lesson planning, and be really organized in doing your things and your space also. That helps a lot, because as you've said, there's a lot of responsibilities, and you might have to look for things. And if your desk, for example, is messy and you don't know where to find your things, that's going to take a lot of time. And just have a planner or a scheduler or a schedule to follow, and to really set time to do things. At night, also, I would say, for teachers, you can do this, not for admin. For teachers, leave work in school. Don't bring it home, because I really believe that you have to spend time with your family also. I know that teachers do their things at home also, lesson planning and all those things. My advice is for you to do that during your prep within the day in school. Don't bring it home, because that's gonna create a lot of problems with your family, your husbands, your wife, and your kids. Just follow a simple schedule. I do that. I have a planner. Now I'm doing it online, so every day I would check my calendar and see what meetings I have to attend to, what things I have to do, and there are set things that I have to do at certain times in the day. For example, one last example, I submit attendance for the school every day, because I'm the only one who can access. I don't know why, but I have to do that for my school. So before I go home, end of day, I have to make sure that I do that, because if I forget it, then we will be in trouble as a school. So that's why I had to take on the job, because I really had to do it. And also, I don't know if you believe this, but they said This is for a tip for administrators. If you want to get a job done, give it to the busiest person that you have in your
heard that
organization.
before.
Delegation.
Yes, because a busy person will always find time to do things.
Okay.
If you give it to somebody who's not busy, they're not going to do it.
Wow.
Pero Melvin, you know what? It's hard not to take work home sa isang teacher. I did that before. Pero habang ako'y nag-check ng math test ng mga bata, nanood ako ng baseball or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Thank
that
you,
was
Melvin. Wow, it's a great time to hear all these things. And before we leave, we are going to have our quotes, and then Tita Pasit, Tita Josie, and then you, Melvin, and then I will end this. And we still have 5 minutes more to go. And then thank you very much. And Tita Pasit, if you have.
Yeah. First of all, Melvin, thank you for gracing the show. It's been a beautiful conversation we had, and I hope those who listened would have
inspired to,
have gotten a lot of tips from what you told them. Okay, now here is what I just found. Okay, it said, "Let us live life in the pursuit of better." Yeah, so things are good now. Let's try to make it better.
That's a nice one.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
Thank you.
Tita Josie, thank you very much, Tita Pasit.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you rin, Melvin. Salamat. The way you talk, you're so humble and talagang nanggagaling sa yung talagang root ng problema o root ng reasoning, kung ano yung tanong namin sa iyo, talagang right on the spot ka. Salamat po. Ang akin is, ang aking quote ngayong araw na ito ay in connection with what you just said, Paset. Mine is, there is only one way to succeed in anything in your life, and that is to give it everything.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Beautiful.
Very good.
Yeah. Teacher Melvin.
Yeah, mine is a quote from Leo Tolstoy, because I'm a math person. So, and this is in relation to what Tita Josie was saying about me being humble. So it says, a man is like a fraction whose numerator is what he is and whose denominator is what he thinks of himself. The larger the denominator, the smaller the fraction. So,
yeah, I love it.
yeah, so that is something that I always live by, and I have that in my Facebook actually, because like, you know, sometimes people would like think highly of themselves and there's nothing there. So
True.
yeah, it goes back to what I said, like, you know, you don't have to really brag about what you're doing or what you are.
Exactly.
People will just notice it.
People will notice it.
Just
and
do it. Just do
yes,
it.
the quotes that I'm having right now will summarize what Melvin said. Work for a cause, not for applause. Live life to express, not to impress. Don't strive to make your presence noticed. Just make your absence felt.
Correct.
Yay!
Beautiful.
Right, Sir Melvin?
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yes. Melvin, if you can say something for your last message to our teachers out there.
Yeah, for our viewers, you know, our teacher viewers or administrators, you know, you're doing a great job and you're doing the best that you can do for the future of our country and our world. Like, you know, we are molding minds and you are doing that. You are like actually molding the future of this country and of this world, because, you know, the students that we have right now are going to be the leaders of the future, and what decisions they have is going to be influenced by the things that you teach them. So just do whatever you can do, like the best that you can to help them, you know, and everything will be all right, I guess.
Wow. Thank you. Tita Paset?
Yes, teachers, hang in there. Do the best you can, which I am sure you always do. And things will be in the right place because of you. Thank you.
Tita Josie?
Well, I'm not a teacher, you know, but talking and interviewing teachers of different categories.
You feel like a teacher now?
I feel like a teacher now, you know, and talking outside of your territory, I can tell that a lot of the people that we have interviewed, have shown the sincerity of what they're doing, and that is what makes you very successful. Kasi kung hindi mo dibdibin yung trabaho mo at wala sa loob mo yung trabaho mo and you just call it trabaho, then it doesn't mean anything.
Correct. Yes.
So congratulations for those people who really takes their position in their heart. Thank you so much.
So thank you guys. Thank you very much, Doc Melvin. Thank you very much for coming, and good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
When we see you, Melvin, you're a principal already.
Yeah.
Hopefully.